I'd like to say this testimony, and I pray to God that it has the weight that it should have. Sometimes words don't really communicate everything that we want to say. Come here, Pastor Michael, please. We have a very beloved family in our church. All of you mean a great deal to us. So, we say things like that, and it seems like, but we love you immensely more than you know. This particular family, though, we've spoken about them often because it's Louie and Vanessa Gonzalez. They have 3 beautiful children. Let me make sure. I want to make sure that there's another one and I don't know about it. Yes. But this is the gentleman we have spoken about who had 15 operations on his brain. He was declared dead 5 or 6 times. He was told by doctors he would never walk again, talk again. He was basically a vegetable. At one point, he couldn't hear, he couldn't see. God miraculously healed him. It's just a celebrated miracle, even in the media and people that are not necessarily Christian, because it is such a miracle. And he was never supposed to walk again. That was a ridiculous, unreasonable expectation. He and his wife now head up our drama ministry, and you've seen him on the stage, you cannot tell that there was ever anything wrong with him. He's 100% healed. But I want to make a line of demarcation between the world and the church. You're saved for a reason. You're not like everybody else. We're not better. We have been saved by grace. And so by grace, we give people what we receive, and sometimes it's perceived as holier than thou. We're not holier than anybody. We're graced. And that grace can be given to people simply by a testimony. You don't have to tell them why you're telling them. It's a fact. This is a fact. Their little boy got sick. And when he got sick, his face swelled up. When they took him to the hospital, they didn't know what was wrong with him. They did every test, and they couldn't tell what was wrong with him. So they started questioning the parents. When the father told them what happened to him and the condition he was suffering from, their first diagnosis was that the child had the same thing. You cannot, I don't know if we can imagine. I'm sure we have parents here, so you can imagine what it's like to hear for a parent that your little one is going to suffer as much as you did. They were beside themselves. They were undone. And the boy kept getting worse. He wouldn't eat. He wouldn't talk. He had pressure on the brain, the very same symptoms that the father had. And so their conclusion was, he has the same thing you did, and maybe he's going to go through the same thing. We need to operate. We need to do this. We need to do that. And we kept getting phone call after phone call after text after text after text. And when we're talking, I was, you know what? We don't receive this. It's not true. We're walking into the year of victory. This just cannot be true. So you know what? In the multitude of counselors, there's safety. Where there's unity and not strife, God is pleased to dwell. We pick up the phone. I call the New York church. I ask the pastors to pray. They're texting back and forth. The leaders here are calling. Finally, Bishop calls me. He says, listen, I want to tell you something. I said, what is it? He said, that boy doesn't have any such thing. That's not true. And someone could say to me, well, he's not a doctor. You don't need to be a doctor. You need to be a man of God. That's what you need to be. You need to have a heavenly connection and an ear to hear what the Spirit of the Lord is saying. And he said, you call them right now and tell them, listen, this is very important. And tell them, don't give entrance with your confession. Don't repeat what they're saying. It's not true. Don't make it true. He does not have that. They didn't have an answer. They wanted to transfer him to Nemours Hospital because they couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. They gave him some medication because they just had to do something. The medication made the kid twitch. So now he's having what looks like a convulsion. They called back. He had a setback. He had a setback. He had a setback. I called Bishop again. He said he had no setback. There's nothing wrong with him. There's nothing wrong with him. So now they want to operate. So now they want to send him away. So now that it just got so ridiculous. We kept saying, but God said, but God said, but God said, but God said. They're sending him home tomorrow. There's nothing wrong with him. He's okay. There's nothing wrong with him. Today, on the day of victory. Yes, today, he's going home today. He's okay. Nothing's wrong with him. Nothing. He's not going to have an operation. He's not going to be in the hospital. He's okay. Don't let anyone hang a sign on you that's not yours. You don't have a sickness because your mother had it, your father had it, this one, that one, the other one. That doesn't come down your lineage. Your lineage is from Jesus Christ.